7 Days of Wisdom, Aquaus Kelley, Tuesday, March 24th, 2020. I wanted to make the time to share and discuss my thoughts as it pertains to remote learning. So, as everyone should know by now, we are literally going through a global pandemic that is shifting the way we live, we work, and we play. And due to this, many people like myself are working remotely from home. And I just wanted to share some thoughts that have been intermittent across the span of the past week or so. I would say I've had conversations on and off with friends of mine and our experiences and my experience respectively as an educator. And I have personally, I would say, come away with a lot of takeaways that I would like to share. One being that I feel that in a different way, technology and the utilization of digital platforms such as Google Classroom and even email has allowed me and enabled me to establish, I would say, deeper relationships with my students in a different way. And what I mean by this is there's a sense of connection that comes through text messaging, that comes through email, that comes through a constant back and forth dialogue via electronic transmission, right? And let's think about it. When we think of Instagram DMs, when we think of Facebook Messenger, when we think of social media and Snapchat and Twitter, there's a sense of connectivity regardless of the distance between parties. And due to remote learning, I am seeing how that impacts education and the relationships amongst teachers and students. So in a traditional classroom setting, I may see all of my students at one time. However, because I'm seeing everyone at once, I may not be able to connect with every student the same way I can connect with every student via email or via Google Classroom. And I'm starting to see that not everyone works at the same time, and that's okay. However, within a 24-hour span, I may interface with every single student multiple times just via messages and emails. And it's in a way where I find myself giving feedback that is more meaningful, more purposeful, because I actually have time to sit back and think about how I want to deliver it. I don't necessarily feel the constraints of being in a classroom. I don't necessarily feel the constraints of having my time crushed into 6.5 hours, because I know I still have time to reply to a message later, attend to a message later. Maybe I could take a nap and work overnight on something because I have access to the material that I need. When I give out an assignment that requires a written response on a piece of paper and I give that home for homework, I can't look at that until they give it back the next day. However, when we work on these digital platforms, if I give feedback real quick, bang, I can receive that feedback right away within 3-4 minutes. And that constant exchange helps to develop a deeper sense of learning. It helps to develop learning in a way where we can see the process of the learning. Meaning that I remember I looked at the data, and that's a whole nother thing, is just having data to look at all in one place as opposed to having to shift through papers. I can literally look at a spreadsheet of data all at one time to specifically identify and target the students I may need to meet with, or the students I may need to conference with, the students I may need to send an email to, just based off of that one snapshot of data. And what I feel is the most important for me at this moment is knowing that I can give an assignment for everyone to work on and just seeing the work that I get back, not expecting anything the first time. I just want to give out a question, give out an assignment, see what I get back, right? And then look through those responses, help to mold those responses, and give feedback in a meaningful and purposeful way that enables students to then go back to the drawing board again, revise that response and iterate based off of the individualized feedback that I gave them. On Twitter this morning, I put out a tweet that went along the lines of saying, I'm noticing that although the assignment is exactly the same, the feedback that I'm giving and the dialogue that I'm having with different students is entirely different, just based off of their prior knowledge, based off their prior experience. So what they contribute to the conversation, and this is us as people as well, what we can contribute to a conversation is contingent upon our background knowledge and our background experience. Just across the board as humans, what we bring to the table, what we contribute to a conversation, what we contribute to a relationship is contingent upon our experience as beings. So this goes for not only students, but everyone really. Students, employees, colleagues, everyone across the board. So that's something that I learned, and something that we should always keep in mind is we cannot expect everyone to be at the same level at the same time. And this goes into pacing, right? When we think of the structure of schooling and units and curriculum, yes, we want everything to stay on track. However, the reality of the situation is when it comes to individualized learning, we're not always going to be on the same track at the same time. And one thing I am also taking away is the pacing is staggered, right? I still have students working on an assignment that I assigned last week, but because of the feedback and the dialogue, that's also contributing to why the pacing is staggered. So we may see that as a downfall. However, how I view it is, instead of seeing it as staggered pacing and trying to be here at a certain moment, we should look at it as what are our students learning and taking away from this experience. And I've noticed that although the pacing may be staggered, the actual learning and the process is a lot more robust. Because we talk about immediate feedback, right? The importance of immediate feedback. That's what's happening right now, right? Immediate feedback electronically, where students interact and engage with their teacher immediately. It's difficult for that to happen in a classroom all at one time. And with the tools that we have electronically, it also enables and allows for efficiency. So when I see patterns, it gets to a point where I copy and paste certain things. There's certain patterns I'm picking up on. So I might copy something, put it to the side, notice the same pattern in another student, and then paste feedback and make a little tweaks to cater to that specific student. Because it does get to a point where we start to notice, as educators, as teachers, we start to notice a pattern in the feedback that we're given. So that also makes a huge difference. And lastly, I would say for the time being is, I just lost my thought, but it's coming back. Hold on. For the time being is, here we go. So Google Classroom, I was engaging in the student work on Google Classroom, and I noticed that there's a private comment area. And as I was giving feedback, I thought to myself, wow, if Google, which they can, of course, they're Google, if Google had a feature where I can add an attachment as a private comment, or I can record a voice memo like Facebook Messenger, or like LinkedIn message, or like DMing on Instagram, if I could record a voicemail and send that back to the student, that would be game changing. Why? Because some students struggle with reading. Some students struggle with typing and writing. However, they can express their ideas verbally. So if Google had that feature which would enable students to record their ideas and thoughts and concepts verbally and then shoot it back to me as the teacher, all I do is listen. I can construct a response for them, right? If they have difficulty reading and typing, and then send that response back so that now they have an idea of what their thoughts would look like typed and written on paper, right? Or in this case, on the computer, on a digital platform. So that was the last thing that I wanted to share, because that was a takeaway and a reflection that I had today from interacting with the student. Just utilizing those tools and through practice, through being a practitioner, being able to identify, all right, what tools can we take here to put them here to create a more efficient system of delivery. And that's one tool I thought would be very helpful, is having that voice memo tool across different educational platforms, specifically Google Classroom. So with that being said, that's really all I have to share at the moment. Again, just to recap my thoughts on remote learning, my experience with remote learning and teaching, and I'm sure I'll be sharing some more thoughts in the future. And that's all I have to offer right now. So again, Aquaus Kelley, 7 Days of Wisdom, a Lover's Ambition. Peace.